Hello, my friends. Jacob is here, and it's Tuesday, so happy Tuesday to you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for pressing play and spending a little time with me. I'm very excited because I didn't know I was going to be able to get this show out to you because I did that live stream yesterday, which, if you haven't seen it, it's about Israel. It's important stuff going down. Check it out. And if you don't want to check it out, this show is for you because we're talking about a particular passage in Scripture that is very important, and it has been misunderstood for years, and now, right here, for all of you, for your viewing pleasure, you will get the answers you have been waiting for. We're going to find out what the principalities and powers and rulers of darkness really are. It's hot here in front of the lights. My one light that I got. It's found in chapter 6 of Ephesians, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. This is a big deal. For many years, people have said that these principalities and powers are spooky demons. In the Muslim faith, they would say that they are the jinn. Many who work at CERN would call them extra-dimensional beings that are pulling the strings. If you were a Gnostic, they would say they're the archons. And if you love Nibiru, you might say that they're the Anunnaki. But what are they? Huh? Do you know? I know! There is a war going on for you. That's right. It's going on within you. And you can't win the war if you don't know you're in a battle to begin with. To be truly free, you have to understand what these principalities and powers and rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in high places really is. So I hope you're buckled up, people, because there's a war going on, and we're about to win it. Hey, you're still here. I'm glad. There's a belief in the world that everything that you see, touch, taste, and smell, and hear, and experience in the sensual world, that it's not real. Others, like Elon Musk and Medal of Science winner James Gates, the scientific advisor to President Obama, who's a quantum theorist, one of the top guys, and when he was calculating how everything worked together with quantum mathematics, he found at the very core of everything computer code. They would call it a simulation. That's right, people are spending billions of dollars trying to get out of it. And then, of course, the blinded masses, those that just basically accept what they're told, they would say that things are the way they are. You know, you live in one box, and then you travel in another box to get to work at another box, and that's it. You know, wash, rinse, repeat. You just continue to do this, and no one feels fulfilled. No one feels alive, and a lot of people are just downright sad, which is why drug use is just soaring in the United States today. Now, why do I say all of this? What does this have to do with the principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places and rulers of darkness? Well, I would go so far as to say that everything that we believe becomes. Our belief system, in fact, can be the very chain that enslaves us, or the very truth that sets us free. By examining a specific passage in Scripture that has been long misunderstood, that is going to unlock everything for all of you. We're going to examine this text from Ephesians chapter 6, and we're going to look at the original language. We're going to see what these words really mean, and it's going to uncover something for all of you, and you're going to see who you're really fighting against. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Okay, so let's take that right off the bat, okay? Right off the bat, we're wrestling not against flesh and blood. Let's look at the word wrestle and define that, okay? Let's take it word by word, line by line, precept by precept. The literal definition of wrestling from the Greek is a contest between two fighting for preeminence. Oh, isn't that interesting? Each endeavors to overthrow the other. Two at war. You're going to see how this all ties together for what's going on within all of us. So that word wrestling is not about like you're struggling with or you're dealing with. It literally means for we are wrestling as one opponent against another opponent, not against flesh and blood, which of course you understand that it's a literal thing here. We're not wrestling against our neighbor or our in-laws or people at work that give us a hard time. No, we are wrestling against principalities and powers and rulers of darkness, right? And that's what this world has become. It's become very dark to the truth. So this wrestling is actually expressed in Scripture. It's a match between two men, okay? And these two men are an example of you and me. There's the first Adam, the man that was formed in the dust of the earth, and then there's the last Adam. There's the Christ man, if you will. There's the first man who eats of that tree of knowledge of good and evil because he's born into the world and he's told, this is your name, this is how you must act, this is how you must behave, and this is how you must think, and this is what you must eat, and this is what you must drink, and this is where you must go, and this is how you must behave. That first man ruled, right, by a belief system formed in the dust of the earth. And if you understand anything about dust, in Scripture, it means lies, imagination, idolatry. If you've been to the channel long enough, you understand that when you're formed in the dust of the earth, it's actually equivalent to you coming into the world and every experience molding you into this idea of who you think you are. If I say, well, who are you? And you say, my name is Joey. Guess what? You're wrong, because Joey was a name you were given. That's not who you are. Who you are is more. And that's what we're wrestling against. Now watch how this goes on. So you got these two men in Scripture, okay? You got the first man and the last man. And I've talked about this. Adam had two sons. He had Cain and Abel. The firstborn was a killer. The hunter, the one that kills Abel, the shepherd. Okay, firstborn, secondborn. Adam brought death into the world. Abraham had two sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Ishmael, hunter, killer, born of a slave, had to be cast away because the kingdom was going to go to the wrong person. Isaac, the shepherd. Isaac has two sons. Now this is interesting because Isaac's wife, Rebekah, when she was pregnant with twins, that was Jacob and Esau, the Lord, an angel of the Lord, a messenger of the Lord, someone came to her and said to her, there are two nations at war within your womb. The elder shall serve the younger. Two strong nations, but the elder shall serve the younger. So in that womb, there was a wrestling match going on. It's a picture of what's going on within us. There is a wrestling match going on within us between the idea of who we think we are and the truth of who we really are, but for God. There's the wrestling match between the one formed in the dust of the earth, the idea, the Joeys of the world, and then there's the one that was from Christ within, from the Spirit, from God, from the infinite source of all things. Another way of looking at it is there's a wrestling match between the soul and the spirit. Another way of looking at it is there's a wrestling match between the head and the heart. This is what we're talking about, people. Now, when Paul was writing to the Ephesians, he was not talking about flesh and blood. He wasn't talking about the temporal world. He was talking about something that was going on spiritually within you. Two opposing thoughts at work within you. Come on now. I know you walk around your days, right? How many times do things happen and you get this thought in your head and you think it's you? How many times you get these negative thoughts in your head? Like just the other day, we're having a great old time, and then I get into an argument with one of my teens, and next thing you know, and it's like you start thinking, oh, they have no respect for you, and blah 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 blah, and I got to shut that stuff down because my children are beautiful, my children love me, my children are amazing, But we have moments. We all have moments because a spiritual battle is going on. We're wrestling against these principalities and powers and rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in high places. That's what we're dealing with. And on one level, it could be the religious system. It could be the political system. And because Scripture backs that up. It could be the religious leaders. Those that come from the high places, those that consider themselves more enlightened when really actually they are slave masters keeping us all controlled. But others would say that it's the archons. People would say that these archons are these powers. Others would say that, they're extra dimensional beings. But I'm telling you, people, it's all a big show. It's all a bunch of hocus pocus. It's all witchcraft, if you will. The truth is the war is going on within you, and I'm about to prove that right now. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Okay? What are the principalities? That word translated, arche, which is where you get archon from, and others. But it's not some demonic being. It's a thought process. It's a lie. It's a first man. The word principalities that we wrestle against is a first person in a series. It's the one that begins. Isn't that crazy? Principality literally means the first in a series. So in other words, you're not wrestling against flesh and blood. You're not wrestling against all this. You're wrestling against the first idea of who you think you are. But that's not all. It goes on from there. Okay? And by the end of this video, you're going to have the keys to break free from this and enter into that new man and enter into that new day, which I've been talking about. The day that's available to us all. From that September 23rd sign to the eclipses to everything. It's all playing out outside of us because it's already happening within us. Now the word power. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers. That word powers comes from the Greek, and it is exousia. Exousia. And guess what that means? It means the power of choice. What? You thought it was like some powerful person who's in charge of you saying you can't jaywalk, you're going to get a ticket, like in China right now, where they shame you with this new social credit system. If you don't know anything about it, watch the video. Go back to my video archive. The system is closing in on us because its days are numbered and its time is short. And it knows it because we're all breaking free today. So you're wrestling against the first idea of who you think you are, and you're wrestling against the power of choice. You don't understand that your choices dictate your future, your present. And a lot of times you're living in the past. Lived. It's the devil spelled backwards. Think about that, people. You're punished and condemned by your past, and then you become a shadow of yourself in the future if you don't know that the past doesn't exist anymore. You got to learn to let things go, people. You got to learn to forgive. You got to understand that you're in a race right now against the first idea of who you think you are. A programmed, brainwashed individual. You know what it's like when cult members, they brainwash someone. They have to go and they have to like de-brainwash them or something. I don't know what that word is. I can't think of it at the moment. Google it. They got to wake them up. They got to show them that they're wrong. And it's hard to do that. That's why today, if you say something outside of the norm, people are going to go bananas on you because everybody wants to fit in. It's called social compliance. Cognitive dissonance is another thing that we got to deal with. But you're here because you want to wake up. And when you wake up, you're going to wake up others. And then this world is going to become the paradise that I know it can be. And even if it gets crazy, and even if false peace comes in the next couple of years, which is what I'm sure will happen, you will be prepared for the next day that comes after it. So this is why when you're wrestling against the power of choice, this is why the scripture says in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, it says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Don't think about how you're not going to make your bills. I reminded myself that this morning. Don't think about your lack. Think of the good things in your life. Think good thoughts. Your thoughts get better. Your life gets better. You're wrestling against the power of choice and the first idea of who you are. Whatever becomes is only because we have faith that it is to begin with. There is a principle in quantum theory. It's called the double slit experiment. I've done videos on this as well. Basically, things act a certain way when they're observed because we predetermine them to become that way. So our faith dictates how things become. Ask yourself if your life right now, if everything that's going on right now, ask if you believed it would be that way before it became that way. And then ask yourself if maybe you created it to begin with because you didn't know that you're wrestling against this power of choice. Now, when you take that into consideration and when you understand that it's about belief and it's about understanding, then you understand that when they came to Jesus and they said, we got 5,000 people to feed, and Jesus said, look, man doesn't live by bread alone, but by every thought, every word that comes out of the mouth of God. So in other words, the bread that we're eating and that we're living off of, the bread that we consume to sustain us, was first a thought in our mind that was projected into the world. So we live by every thought. That's why you need to take your thoughts captive. That's why you need to pay attention to what is going on, to what you say, to what you think. All that exists is God. In 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 6, but unto us there is but one God, of whom are all things. Jesus said that I'm in the Father's in me, and I'm in you. In other words, we're all connected. I'm in you, you're in me. So what I do to you, I do to myself, and all in all, God says. There's nothing that exists that isn't in God. This whole show came about because I talked to my friend Braden, and out of the blue, he brings up this proverb about these monks, where one monk says to another, show me where God is, and I'll give you an orange. And the other monk says, show me where God is not, and I'll give you 4. And the weird thing about this was, then I talked to another viewer his name is Josh, and I just reached out to him because I felt like I was supposed to. And he brings up this very same parable, a parable that I'd never heard before. And now I hear it from 2 different people that don't know each other exactly the same way. God is all in all. If you understand this, if you understand that the very source of creation is right in you, and that everything that you live on is actually proceeding from the mouth of God, the Spirit of God that is within us all, whether you know it or not. That's why you're supposed to lay down your life. Jesus said, if you don't lay down your life, if you don't know what I know, if you don't do what I do, the first man has to go bye-bye so that the second man can rule. And that's the day that we're in, because we're wrestling against the first idea of who we think we are. We're wrestling against an idea, an ego, a lie. When we let that go, there will be a new man, and there will be a new heaven, and there will be a new earth, because you'll be looking at everything with new eyes. You see, the world was created for us. It says for man, that man was supposed to put everything under its dominion. When God created Adam, mankind as a whole, that's what the word means, he created everything to be under the rule of mankind. So mankind is in control. So it's almost like the Spirit of God took form as matter. And that's why, think about this, for example, everything that we believe exists. That's why the universe continues to expand. I've wondered about this. I thought, the farther people look out in the universe, they say, oh, well, the universe is expanding. And why is it expanding? Because we're looking for more. And the more we look for, the more we find. The deeper we go within, the deeper there is to find. The farther we go without, the farther there is to find. And why is that? Because all that exists is God. And you are a child of God. Let's talk about these rulers of darkness, okay? Darkness in Scripture is always ignorance. So it would be the rulers of ignorance, right? But look at what the word rulers means. It's cosmos. What? How crazy is that? Cosmos. That's the literal word that you get rulers from. And you know what it means? An apt and harmonious arrangement of constitution, order, and government. Everything that we're looking at. Everything that is. I was talking about the universe, right? How it expands. This is what we're wrestling against. The first mistaken idea of who we are, that we believe we become. The lies that are always in our head, feeding us negativity and nonsense and death, because this world is a place of fallen. The fallen world. In other words, spiritual became matter and died of the truth of who we are within. And then, just like any seed that falls from a tree and dies, buried into the earth, then the rain comes, and then it fights to break free, it fights the dirt, and then boom, next thing you know, it's alive again. And that's the day that we're in. So we're wrestling against the first idea of who we are. We're wrestling against the power of choice, and we're wrestling against all of this that we think is all there is. Now that, my friends, is something that should wake you up. So listen, I know that this show is a little different and maybe feel a little Bible thumpy again, but it is such great wisdom to understand that you're not in some cosmic battle against some outside entity trying to hurt you. You're actually hurting yourself because you think you're someone you're not. You're wrestling against the first man in the string, the first man in the series. You're wrestling against that principality, that Adam, that first Adam. You're wrestling against the power of choice. You're wrestling against the cosmos, the idea of everything. Best part is, if you put on this armor of God, if you come to the truth, if you understand the truth, if you seek the truth no matter what the cost, and you understand that all it is just a distraction, just a great show. That's why I'm excited about everything that's going on in the world, because it bodes well for us spiritually. Then you, my friends, will be free. I hope that this video helped you out. Hope it gave you a little insight. I hope that you're having the best day ever. And I hope that you hit the subscribe button, share it around, do the stuff, help me out. You know, it's always nice to help people, especially if this channel's helping you. I love each and every one of you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Don't worry about anything, because I will be on your side the whole time.
All right. That was so great.
Amazing.
So good. I
Talented.
love your, you wrote that as you were just